pilot with 1/200 flight hours, a radar that can track 10 targets at 150 kilometers, a combat fighter jet valued at $40 million. And yet, it had no chance. What's happening in the skies over the Middle East is rewriting a century of military doctrine, and most people haven't even noticed. While major powers invest decades perfecting fifth-generation fighters that cost more than the annual budget of a small country, Israel has just demonstrated that all that money might be irrelevant. The weapon that changes everything has no pilot, costs less than an apartment in Tel Aviv, and can hunt fighter jets like helpless prey. The Negev desert has become the most dangerous laboratory in the world. There, far from prying eyes, Israel is testing something that has military strategists from Moscow to Beijing terrified. It's called the XQ-58A Valkyrie, and it's not a reconnaissance drone. It doesn't carry cameras to spy or sensors to monitor. It carries air-to-air missiles, a state-of-the-art radar, and an artificial intelligence designed for one purpose: to eliminate manned fighters before they know what hit them. Imagine a predator that can see in the dark, move without making a sound, and attack from angles that defy logic. Now imagine that predator feels no fear, never tires, and doesn't make mistakes out of panic. That's the Valkyrie. The story begins in the United States, not Israel. Kratos Defense developed the XQ-58A as part of the Skyborg program, a U.S. Air Force initiative to create what they called loyal wingmen, drones that would fly alongside manned fighters like digital squires. The idea was simple. An F-35 costs $80 million and carries a pilot whose training costs another $5 million. If that pilot dies, you lose $85 million in years of experience. But if you can send a $3 million drone to do the dirty work, the math changes radically. The United States saw potential. Israel saw a revolution. When the first Valkyries arrived in Israel in 2023 under a military cooperation agreement, engineers from the Directorate of Defense Research and Development didn't use them as squires. They turned them into hunters. They integrated the Barak artificial intelligence system, developed specifically to process threats at speeds no human brain can match. They installed Elbit Systems' Scorpius electronic warfare system, capable of blinding enemy radars without them realizing they're under attack. And, most importantly, they modified the weapons bay to carry Python 5 missiles, possibly the most lethal air-to-air missiles outside U.S. arsenals. The result is a machine that combines the agility of a fighter, the invisibility of a stealth aircraft, and the cold calculation of an emotionless algorithm. The technical specifications sound modest until you understand their implications. The Valkyrie is 9.1 meters long with a wingspan of 8.2 meters, smaller than most modern fighters. It weighs 2,700 kilograms at takeoff, about the same as 2 compact cars. Its fuselage is built with carbon fiber composites that absorb radar waves instead of reflecting them. Its radar cross-section is just 0.01 square meters. For perspective, a conventional F-16 has a radar signature 100 times larger. On a radar screen, the Valkyrie doesn't look like an aircraft. It looks like noise, an atmospheric anomaly, something the system automatically filters out because it assumes it's an error. The engine is a Williams International FJ44 4M turbofan, the same one that powers luxury executive jets. It can push the Valkyrie to 1,050 kilometers per hour, subsonic speed but more than enough for its mission. Its range reaches 5,500 kilometers, meaning it can take off from a base in Israel, penetrate deep into hostile territory, complete its mission, and return without refueling. But here's the twist no one saw coming. The Valkyrie doesn't need to return. If the mission requires it, it can turn into an AI-piloted cruise missile, crashing into high-value targets with its 270 kilograms of payload converted into explosives. It's a reusable asset that can become disposable in an instant. The real magic is in the brain. The Barak system processes sensor data at speeds that make human reflexes seem glacial. A trained pilot needs 2 to 3 seconds to identify a threat, evaluate options, and make a decision. Barak does it in 0.3 seconds. That 2.7-second difference doesn't sound impressive until you realize that in air combat, where missiles travel over 3,000 kilometers per hour, 2.7 seconds equate to more than 2 kilometers of distance. It's the difference between life and death, between mission accomplished and total disaster. The Valkyrie's armament is where theory turns into a nightmare for any enemy pilot. The internal weapons bay can carry up to 270 kilograms of munitions, and Israel has equipped it with Python 5 missiles. This missile has a range of 20 kilometers and can perform maneuvers up to 70 degrees off its flight axis. That means it can be fired forward and turn almost completely backward to hit a target behind the drone. Its dual-band infrared seeker can distinguish between the constant thermal signature of a jet engine and the brief, intense flash of a countermeasure flare. It isn't fooled by tricks that have worked for decades. It's like a bloodhound that can smell the difference between a real human and a mannequin sprayed with perfume. Now imagine this. An Israeli F-16I Sufa is flying a routine patrol over the Negev at 8,000 meters altitude. Its pilot trusts his APG-68 radar, one of the best pulse Doppler radars in the world. It can track 10 targets simultaneously and has a detection range of 150 kilometers against conventional fighters. But 40 kilometers away, flying at just 6,000 meters, there's a Valkyrie. The drone has been shadowing the F-16 for 8 minutes, staying just at the edge of detection. It flies in an erratic pattern, climbing and descending between 5,000 and 7,000 meters, changing course every 40 seconds. To the F-16's radar, it looks like atmospheric noise. The system automatically filters it out because it doesn't match any known threat profile. The Valkyrie carries the Scorpius system, and this is where things get truly sinister. This electronic warfare system doesn't jam the enemy radar. That would be too obvious and trigger every alarm. Instead, it subtly distorts it. It intercepts the F-16's radar emissions, analyzes its frequency and scan pattern, then generates false echoes that confuse the operator. The pilot sees multiple weak contacts instead of a clear threat. It's like putting water droplets on someone's glasses. You don't blind them, but they definitely can't see clearly. And while the pilot tries to figure out what he's seeing, the Valkyrie closes in. At 35 kilometers, the drone activates its synthetic aperture ISE radar. This radar works completely differently from conventional ones. Instead of emitting a continuous beam that's easily detected by warning systems, it sends short, low-power bursts from multiple angles. It then combines the echoes to create a high-resolution image of the target. It's like taking 100 blurry photos from different positions and using a computer to stitch them into one perfectly sharp image. The F-16I appears on the Valkyrie's screen as a bright diamond against a gray background. The Barak system identifies the exact fighter model, calculates its speed, altitude, and flight vector, and predicts its future position with an error margin of less than 50 meters. If you're enjoying how Israel is changing the rules of the game with technology that seems straight out of a sci-fi movie, subscribe to the channel because this is just the beginning, and the implications are far bigger than you imagine. The Valkyrie begins its attack approach. It descends to 4,000 meters using the Earth's curvature to stay below the F-16's radar horizon. It accelerates to 950 kilometers per hour, burning fuel at a rate that would have its range, but right now efficiency doesn't matter. Only speed and surprise do. At 20 kilometers, the F-16's radar warning system finally detects something. A weak, intermittent signal that appears and disappears. The pilot frowns. His training tells him it could be a missile, but the speed doesn't match. Air-to-air missiles travel at supersonic speeds, between 2,000 and 4,000 kilometers per hour. This is moving too slowly. It could be another aircraft, but the radar signature is too small. He decides to investigate. He turns his F-16 toward the signal and switches his radar to high-power active search mode. It's exactly the mistake the Valkyrie was waiting for. The moment the F-16's radar goes active, the Valkyrie's Scorpius detects it instantly. Now it knows exactly where the fighter is, what it's doing, and most importantly, that the pilot is confused. The Valkyrie executes a maneuver no human pilot would attempt at this altitude. It dives at a 60-degree angle, dropping 2,000 meters in just 18 seconds, while turning 90 degrees left. The G-forces would be lethal to a human. The body simply can't withstand that acceleration without blacking out or suffering internal damage. But the Valkyrie has no pilot to protect. It can pull 12G without blinking, without worrying about keeping blood in the brain or preventing internal organs from shifting. It pulls out of the dive at 2,000 meters, now flying perpendicular to the F-16's path, positioning itself for a perfect side shot. The pilot finally sees the Valkyrie on his radar. A solid contact at 15 kilometers, altitude 2,000 meters, speed 900 kilometers per hour. But something is deeply wrong. The contact is too small, too agile. His flight computer can't identify it. The F-16's threat library contains radar profiles of hundreds of aircraft, from MiG-29 to Su-35, every known fighter variant. But this matches nothing. It's like seeing an animal that shouldn't exist, something that doesn't fit any known category. The pilot feels a chill run down his spine. He knows he's in trouble, but he doesn't yet know how much. The Valkyrie doesn't wait. At 12 kilometers, it opens its internal weapons bay. The doors swing open in 0.8 seconds, a hydraulic mechanism designed to minimize the time the drone is vulnerable. The Python 5 missile slides down its launch rails. Its dual-band infrared seeker cools to minus 200 degrees Celsius using liquid nitrogen, increasing its sensitivity to the point where it can detect a jet engine's thermal signature at 25 kilometers. The Barak system calculates the firing solution in 0.4 seconds. Attack angle, 73 degrees. Estimated flight time, 22 seconds. Hit probability, 94%. The Valkyrie launches the missile. The Python 5 shoots out of the weapons bay with 40 G acceleration. Its solid-fuel rocket motor propels it to 3,600 kilometers per hour in under 3 seconds. Its tail control fins adjust 50 times per second, correcting its trajectory with millimeter precision. The missile doesn't fly straight at the F-16. Instead, it follows a calculated intercept path, aiming not at where the fighter is now, but where it will be in 22 seconds. It's exactly like a skilled soccer player who doesn't kick the ball to where his teammate is, but to the space where his teammate will be when the ball arrives. Except here there's no margin for error. You either hit or miss, and missing means wasting a $300,000 missile. The F-16's missile warning system detects the launch instantly. A shrill, piercing alarm fills the cockpit. A red light flashes on the instrument panel. The pilot has 22 seconds to save his life. His training takes over. Years of simulations and exercises kick in automatically. He yanks the stick left, throwing the F-16 into a 9G tight turn. The force crushes him into the seat. His vision narrows, blood drains from his brain to his legs. His G-suit inflates, squeezing his limbs to keep blood in his head. He grunts, forcing air out of his lungs to stay conscious, a technique every fighter pilot learns but never gets easy. At the same time, he hits the countermeasures button. The F-16 spews a cloud of magnesium flares, burning at 2,000 degrees Celsius, creating thermal decoys designed to confuse infrared-seeking missiles. For decades, this tactic has worked. Older missiles saw the flares, assumed they were the target, and veered off. But the Python 5 isn't an old missile. Its dual-band seeker can distinguish between the constant, specific thermal signature of a jet engine and the brief, intense flash of a flare. It analyzes the infrared spectrum, identifies the flares as countermeasures, and ignores them completely. It continues the pursuit without hesitation. The missile adjusts its trajectory, following the F-16's turn with agility that seems to defy physics. At 5 kilometers, the Python 5 activates terminal guidance mode. Its seeker locks onto the F-16's engine exhaust, tracking the thermal signature with precision that would make an Olympic sniper look clumsy. The pilot sees the missile in his rearview mirror, a white streak closing in at impossible speed, shortening the distance with every passing second. He has one last card to play, a desperate maneuver that only works in very specific circumstances. He cuts the engines completely and throws the F-16 into a vertical dive, falling like a stone while dispensing another salvo of flares. The idea is to make the missile lose its thermal lock when the engine cools and stops emitting its characteristic signature. For 3 seconds, it works. The Python 5 hesitates, its seeker frantically searching for the thermal signature that just vanished. But then the missile's tracking algorithm adapts. It switches from infrared search mode to active radar search mode, using its own miniature radar to track the F-16. The missile readjusts its path and continues the chase, losing no more than half a second. At 800 meters, the pilot knows he's done. He reignites the engines, pulling the F-16 out of the dive with an 11G maneuver that makes the airframe creak and triggers multiple structural stress alarms. But it's too late. The Python 5 is at 200 meters. Its proximity fuse detects the F-16's fuselage and arms the 11-kilogram fragmentation warhead. Hundreds of tungsten rods are about to explode outward at 2,500 meters per second, creating a 30-meter diameter cone of death that would turn the fighter into flying scrap. But here's the twist. At 50 meters from the F-16, the Python 5 self-destructs in a controlled explosion. It's a test, not real combat. The pilot is alive, sweating, heart pounding at 180 beats per minute, but alive. In a real combat scenario, however, he would be dead. The Valkyrie has just proven it can hunt and kill a fourth-generation fighter without the pilot having a real chance to defend himself. Israeli engineers analyzed the test data afterward, and the numbers are chilling. From the moment the Valkyrie detected the F-16 to missile launch, only 47 seconds elapsed. The F-16 pilot had 22 seconds to react after the missile was fired. In that time, he executed every standard evasive maneuver: high G turns, thermal countermeasures, engine cutoff. Everything he was taught over years of training. Nothing worked. The Python 5 would have hit with a 94% probability. But here's the truly terrifying part that keeps military strategists awake at night. The Valkyrie still had fuel for another 2 hours of flight in space in its weapons bay for 3 more missiles. It could have hunted 3 more fighters before returning to base. It's a killing machine with efficiency no human pilot could match. Israel isn't developing the Valkyrie just for tests or tech demonstrations. They're building an operational fleet. According to military intelligence sources, the Israeli Air Force plans to deploy at least 50 Valkyrie units by the end of 2026. Each drone will cost about $3 million, meaning a total investment of $150 million. For perspective, that's the cost of fewer than 2 F-35 fighters. But those 50 Valkyries, operating in coordinated swarms of 5 units each, could theoretically engage 200 enemy fighters simultaneously. It's a force multiplication no previous technology has achieved. We're talking about fundamentally changing the equation of air warfare. The deployment strategy is equally innovative and terrifying. Israel plans to use the Valkyries as a first wave of attack in any future conflict. The drones would take off first, penetrating enemy airspace and eliminating air defenses and patrol fighters before they can organize. Only after the Valkyries have cleared the path would manned fighters enter for precision strikes against ground targets. It's like sending robots to clear a building full of snipers before human soldiers go in. You reduce casualties to 0 while maximizing attack effectiveness. And most importantly, you eliminate the political cost of captured or killed pilots, something that can shift public opinion on a war in hours. But the Valkyrie isn't invincible, and it would be irresponsible to present it as such. It has vulnerabilities that Israel's adversaries are already studying intensely. The first is its dependence on data links. The drone communicates with its ground control station and other Valkyries via encrypted radio signals. If an enemy can jam those signals using advanced electronic warfare, the Valkyrie becomes partially blind and deaf. Without constant communication, the AI has to operate autonomously, and while impressive, it's not perfect. It can make mistakes, especially in chaotic combat environments where threats change every second, and distinguishing between a legitimate target and a civilian becomes incredibly difficult. The second vulnerability is its subsonic speed. The Valkyrie tops out at 1,050 kilometers per hour. A fifth-generation fighter like Russia's Su-57 or China's J-20 can fly over 2,000 kilometers per hour in clean configuration. If they detect the Valkyrie early and at sufficient range, they can simply outrun it, staying beyond its missile range while calling reinforcements or repositioning for a counterattack. It's like a race between a wolf and a cheetah. The wolf is smart, works in packs, and has endurance. But if the cheetah sees it coming from far enough away, it just runs faster and escapes. The third vulnerability is its thermal signature. Though the Valkyrie has an extremely low radar signature, its turbofan engine still emits heat, and that heat is detectable. Advanced infrared detection systems like those Russia has deployed in its S-400 systems, and China is integrating into its air defense networks, can detect that thermal signature up to 50 kilometers away under ideal conditions. Once detected by infrared, the Valkyrie becomes a target like any other. Israel is working on countermeasures, including exhaust cooling systems and special thermal coatings, but it's a constant arms race. Every improvement in attack technology generates a corresponding improvement in defense technology, and vice versa. Despite these vulnerabilities, the Valkyrie represents a fundamental shift in air warfare that cannot be ignored. For decades, the paradigm has been brutally simple. The most advanced, fastest, and most expensive fighter wins. A US F-22 Raptor costing $150 million per unit can defeat almost any other fighter in one-on-one combat thanks to its stealth, speed, and superior avionics. But what if the enemy doesn't play one-on-one? What if they send 10 Valkyries, each costing a fraction of an F-22's price, attacking from 10 different directions with perfect coordination? The math changes radically. The F-22 might shoot down 2, maybe 3 drones before running out of air-to-air missiles. The other 7 destroy it. Israel has discovered the formula for defeating individual technological superiority with smart, coordinated numerical superiority. Other countries are taking note and reacting quickly. According to recent intelligence reports, Turkey is developing its own combat drone called Kızılelma, with capabilities similar to the Valkyrie and already completing test flights. China has unveiled the GJ-11, a stealth attack drone that can carry up to 2,000 kilograms of armament and is rumored to be in mass production. Russia is working on the Okhotnik, a heavy combat drone designed specifically to fly alongside the Su-57 and act as its armed squire. The combat drone arms race has officially begun, and it's accelerating faster than anyone predicted just 5 years ago. The geopolitical impact of this technology is absolutely enormous, and we're only beginning to understand it. For decades, air superiority has been the exclusive domain of a few wealthy nations: the United States, Russia, China, and some European allies. Developing and maintaining a fleet of 5th-generation fighters requires decades of research, billions of dollars in ongoing investment, and an advanced industrial base that very few countries possess. But combat drones like the Valkyrie fundamentally change that equation. A medium-sized country with a decent tech industry and access to commercial components can develop effective combat drones for a fraction of the cost. It's the democratization of air superiority, and it terrifies traditional superpowers because it erodes one of their most important strategic advantages. Israel is using the Valkyrie not just as a weapon, but as an incredibly powerful diplomatic tool. They've offered to sell export versions of the drone to close allies, including India, the United Arab Emirates, and some European countries looking to modernize their air forces without spending fortunes. The export price is rumored to be around $5 million per unit, almost double Israel's production cost, but still an absolute bargain compared to manned fighters that cost 10 or 20 times more. Every sale strengthens Israel's alliances, creates technological dependency, and builds a network of countries that rely on Israeli technology for their national defense. It's soft power backed by hard power, and it's incredibly effective. If you're fascinated by how a $3 million drone is shifting the global balance of power and want to keep discovering military technologies redefining modern warfare, subscribe to the channel because what's coming in the next few years will be even more impressive and terrifying. But there's an ethical question no one wants to ask out loud, a question that keeps philosophers and military ethics experts awake at night. What happens when these drones become fully autonomous? Currently, the Valkyrie requires human authorization to fire weapons. An operator at a ground control station must press a button to approve each attack, keeping what's called a human in the loop. But the technology already exists to remove that step. The Valkyrie's AI is advanced enough to identify targets, assess threats, calculate firing solutions, and make shoot decisions without any human intervention. Israel has publicly promised never to deploy fully autonomous drones with lethal authority, but that promise is only as strong as the paper it's written on. In an existential conflict, when seconds matter and national survival is at stake, will they really keep a human in the loop if it means the difference between victory and defeat? The honest answer is probably no. And that leads us to a future where machines decide who lives and who dies on the battlefield, where algorithms make life or death decisions in fractions of a second without human oversight. This isn't distant science fiction. It's the reality being built right now in secret hangars in the Negev desert, research facilities in California, and military labs in China. The Valkyrie isn't just an impressive drone. It's the first visible step toward a new kind of warfare, one where humans are increasingly spectators and machines are the gladiators fighting on our behalf. It's efficient, it's lethal, it reduces human casualties on the side that deploys it, and it's absolutely terrifying when you think about the long-term implications. The future of air combat is no longer about who has the bravest pilots, the fastest fighters, or the most advanced missiles. It's about who has the smartest algorithms, the most precise sensors, and perhaps most importantly, the willingness to use them without ethical restraints that other countries still maintain. Israel has shown it has the technology and the determination. The XQ-58A Valkyrie is just the beginning of this revolution. In the coming years, we'll see more advanced, more lethal, and more autonomous drones. We'll see swarms of hundreds of drones operating as a single coordinated organism, hunting targets with efficiency no human pilot could ever match. And we'll see the end of an era where courage, skill, and human judgment were the deciding factors in air combat. That era is ending before our eyes. Welcome to the future of war. It's brilliant, it's ruthless, it's incredibly efficient, and it's already here.